The session will be recorded, okay?
All right, thank you so much for joining and inviting me today. I am so excited to kind of share how we have used Trello for blended learning. So I work in a school district in Pickerington, Ohio, which is I don't know what your school sizes are like, but we have about 11,000 students. And so we kind of push for personalized learning, blended learning. And one of the biggest struggles that some of my teachers have is, how do I organize it? How do I manage all of this? And one of the tools that we use, we have many different tools because every single teacher is different. But one of the tools that some teachers use is Trello. And so I'll be kind of walking through how we kind of set this up, how we organize it for students. And the focus is kind of with blended learning. So if you have questions, feel free to throw them into the chat. Be more than happy to answer them as I'm going along. So if you do have a question, just throw it right into that chat and we will try to address it as we get going. Okay, so real quick about me, my name is Stephanie Howe. I'm an instructional technology coordinator, again, for Pickerington Local School District. And what that means is I just help teachers use technology. So it's a fancy title, but all I do is, kind of help them use technology. Last year was crazy with COVID. And so I'm hoping for a normal year, whatever that looks like, because it was insane last year. Okay, so real quick, we're going to do a blended learning overview. So the two types of blended learning that we're going to talk about today, and there's all different kinds of models and styles. But for today, we're going to talk about station rotation. And then we're also going to talk about the must-do, may-do list. So let me know in the chat, are you familiar with station rotation? You can either use emojis like the thumbs up, thumbs down, yes, no. But I just want to kind of get a feel for where are you guys at? Have you ever heard of it? Do you use it? Do you know what it is? And then after I get some of those comments into the chat, we'll talk about the second one as well. So first off, station rotation. Do you know it? Do you not know it? Would love to see what you guys kind of know. Okay, so some yes, some no. Yeah, I've got some emojis going up too, which is great. And then must do, may do list. You guys know what that is? Must do, may do. This is like where the students have to complete the must do activities. And then if there's time left over, they do the may do activities. Yeah, kind of like a choice board. Yep, just like that. Perfect. Thank you guys for participating in that quick poll. Okay, so first off, I'm going to do a quick overview because there were some people that did not know what station rotation was, but then there were some that did. So station rotation is right here. It's 4 different stations. Depending on your class period, it could be 20 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, it could be 15 minutes. And what the students do is they work on an activity for that set amount of time, and then they move to the next station. So then they would go to station 2, station 3, station 4, and so on. And again, they are working on different tasks and they're trying to do different things at those different activities. So for example, at station 1, it's that digital content station. Students might be watching a video on Edpuzzle. Students might be working on a program like Newsella or iReady or something like that. Where station 2, they're meeting with the teacher. They're meeting up with the teacher. They're having a conversation with the teacher. Maybe it's feedback, maybe it's a small group lesson, and they're learning from and with the teacher. Station number 3 is that independent practice. So during that independent practice time, what is happening is students are practicing different skills. They're either reviewing something or whatever they just worked on the teacher, they're now doing that independently by themselves. And then there's station 4, which is the 4 C's, which is my favorite one. This is where students are working on like the soft skills or the 21st century skills. And that is where they're working on communication, collaboration, critical thinking, all of those different types of skills and creativity to create maybe a project or do something with their learning. So right here, again, this is the station rotation model. 4 stations, the kids, they rotate to the different stations after the time is set. So right here with Trello, this is a sample board. I'm going to throw the link so that you guys can see it if you want to. Feel free. And this is an example. Let me go back real quick. So what I just put into the chat, this right here is an example of a station rotation model that you could share with your students. So this is an example using Google Slides. So again, I've got all my stations here. I can hyperlink anything that I need to hyperlink right into my station rotation. So that way my students can just click. And again, I can share this in my LMS, or I can share this out on the projector. Okay, so feel free to make and use these different templates as I share them. The next model is right here, and it's with Trello. Okay. And so what I did with this model, and I'm going to share the slides too at the end that have all of the links in the speaker notes. So I will share those right at the very end. So right here on Trello, and let me know in the chat, how familiar are you with Trello? Do you know it really well? Do you not know it? Do you have like no idea what that even is when I say Trello? Just real quick, let me know what your knowledge of Trello is as you're opening up this link. Okay, we've heard about it. Good. I've used it a long time ago. I haven't used it, heard about it. Okay, so we kind of know what it is. So what I like to think Trello is just an organization. So again, just like that Google slide example, you could use that, or you could use this. And the biggest thing when I start helping teachers with blended learning is they often go, Stephanie, I really struggle with the organization part of it. And so Trello can be a tool to help you. Or if you're more of a Google person, that Google Slides can be a way to help you. But the way that I've seen Trello be used in our district has been really, really powerful, and it has saved a lot of teachers' time. So right here, what you'll do is it is a big setup at the beginning of the school year. And you go in, and right here where it says student 1, you would put the students' names in here. So I would just type all of my students out on these different little cards, and you would just click and type them. To get another card, you just hit add card, and then I can do student, let's see, we're at 13. Then I can go over here, put student 14. I can put student 15 and so on. Okay. And so once I've got my groups up and my students here, I can keep those cards. If you want to, you're able to go here to the 3 dots, and then you can go in and duplicate it and all that kind of stuff. So if you wanted to, you're able to like continuously to use this activity. What I like to do is, because when you're using blended learning, you're often looking at data. And when you're looking at pre-assessments or you're looking at formative assessments, I can go, oh, student 1 didn't get that learning at all yesterday. I want them to meet with me first. Student 3, oh, they got it. They can start on their 4 C's. This student number 8, I can move them here. And you're able to just move these little cards around to the correct station. So then you're able to really start to personalize and differentiate for your students. So again, I've got my teacher station, my independent practice, my digital content, my 4 C's. And again, I just click and drag. These all have my student names on them, and I can quickly put every single student in a group that I might need them in. And so again, just click, drag, move my students. I can add, if I get a new student mid-year, which that often happens in here, I can add them right onto that card. And then again, I can move them around as I need. Over here are just a list of different activities that have been thought about for my different stations. Okay, so teacher station, that is usually dependent on the group. And I usually tell them maybe it's a feedback day. So that could be a card. And then what I can do up here is I can move this right here. If you click this little pencil, you can open the card, and you are able to change the color of this card if you wanted to. You can copy it. You can use it kind of as a template, all of those different things. And so maybe I want to make it green. Okay, save. There we go. Or I'm going to make it blue, actually. Okay, so feedback is blue. So every single student right here knows that they're working on feedback with me. Independent practice. I might want my students to watch an ed puzzle. And again, little pencil, edit the label. Let's make that yellow. Let me do that again because it didn't save. And so then you can just kind of go in, again, keep on adding your different colors, your codes, so that way your students know what they're working on. And then you can just kind of work like that. Oh, this is supposed to be digital content. And then independent practice, I want them to be working on the reflect and document their learning. And then for the 4 C's, I want them to be working on their choice board. Okay. And again, my students know what all of this means because we did a quick mini lesson before I just handed this to them. So they're not confused and we have this routine and this procedure right into place already. Now, what's nice is this is Monday's plan. Okay. Now, as a teacher, if you know your content and your standards and you're ready to go, all I have to do is go, oh, they don't need that card anymore. What they need to do is they need to read and take notes today. And I can quickly change there. That's my lesson plans. I'm quickly done. It wasn't a whole lot of prep work because now I just kind of have my lesson plan all thought out. And then again, I can edit that label, change that color to whatever I want. And I've also seen teachers like they already have all of these labeled. So like fraction wars. So we made this red, the choice board, the 4 C's activities. And so in here, I can go ahead, put all of the different activities that I might have throughout the year. And I can go ahead and label what category they would fall in on that station rotation. And so again, then I can just go, okay, they're doing bingo today. No, they don't need choice boards anymore. They've done that, you know, however many weeks. Watching a video, again, that's going to be probably an independent one. So I'm going to make that yellow. Listening to a podcast, that's going to be digital content. And you can just see how I'm just kind of quickly going through and I'm able to, again, change those labels. So that way my students can see what is expected and kind of what they are to do for that day. And then I can just quickly change and move them in and out. Okay. Any questions so far about station rotation or this type of Trello board?
I think that the main question now is how do the students know what they have to do?
Yeah, and so in here, you can share them. You can share this board with your students. So you can invite all of your students if you wanted to. You can share the link. And so if you want to, right here in the description, you can write what that activity is. You could hyperlink. I have a lot of teachers that use Google Classroom as their learning management system. And so they put their directions in Google Classroom with like videos and all that kind of stuff. So that could be an option. Also right here, it's in beta, but you can record right from Loom. So I can make a video of myself explaining this digital content. And so I can go 3, 2, 1. During today's lesson, you're going to go to the Ed Puzzle and you're going to watch lesson number 11. Once you're done, you will then work on another activity or something like that. And I can give them directions and then I hit stop. And once it loads, it can go on that Trello. So you can leave video directions for your students to kind of help them as well. So there's my video. That's another option. So again, I could do text. I could link it to my learning management system. I could do video. You can also maybe create different cards that even go more into detail about what they need to do as well if you wanted to. Does that kind of help?
Yes, it does help.
Perfect.
And let's say that you have a different group every day. Do we have to do like this Trello board for each group?
Yeah. So what I would do is if I had, some of my teachers have 7 different classes. And so this would be class number 1 as the title. So up here is the title for this. And I would just do station rotation class 1. And then up here where that 3 dots is, where it says show menu, you're going to go here to more. And then you can copy this board. And so now I can call this class 2. And you can create like different workspaces. I need to create a new one because I ran out on the free version. And then I can have my next class be copied over. And so then they have a whole new board. I can change those student names and I can quickly move those little cards around for that class, duplicate it again, class 3, duplicate it again, class 4, duplicate it again, and so on. And so then they're able to really see. You can also make a template. So if I make this a template, I can then copy this and have other teachers even use it too. So if I wanted like other teachers to be able to use this board, I could click create board from template, and then I would need to update my workspace. So let me go ahead and do that. And then you're able to start to really collaborate with other teachers and they can share different ideas and different things that they're working on. So that way they can think about, hey, this teacher is doing this activity, and you can kind of save time and work smarter and not harder when you do work with each other. All right, so I just made another workspace, and I like to make different ones to kind of keep my organization all together. Let me refresh this one. And so then I create the board, blended learning, I'm going to create, and oh, I should have not gone so fast. I got clicked happy. So right here, I've got blended learning. See right here where it says keep cards, keep template cards. You want to make sure you click those because it's going to copy all of your cards over for you. And so then you can really start to edit what you have, and then you can rename your boards as well. Okay. And there's let me see the questions in the chat real quick because there's
There's one in Spanish. Let me translate it to you.
Yeah, yes, please.
At the end, all the students have to do all the activities or just the ones that you assign?
I think that's up to you. So this one typically is, they do all of them in a station rotation model. And again, it's 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. And so what I normally do is I have a timer. And so I've got a timer running as well. And you can turn the music on or you can turn it off. And then the students are able to see, okay, I've got 3 minutes left on this activity. And I've seen teachers that have, like, if you finish early, here's a list of different activities you can do while you're in that station. But most of the time, if it's 10 minutes, students don't finish completely. Usually it's more work than what they have. And again, every single station is differentiated. Once you get going, at the beginning, it might be the same activities, but as you get better at the station rotation model, you're able to really differentiate these different activities. So then you can, the teacher station is pretty easy because then you can give them that feedback on, okay, we finished this in 5 minutes or we didn't. The independent practice usually takes that 10 minutes. And again, if a student finishes early or doesn't need to do this, you can differentiate it for that student. And you can say, here is another activity for that group. So I could say, like, right here, I've got this, but then over here, I can put this card right here, and I could say whatever I need to say, like group 2, if I wanted to. So you could even create another layer. So this would be like round 1, and then round 2 would be over here. So you could organize, and again, it's all about your preference on how you want to organize it. How I organize it might not make sense to you, and you're like, oh, that's crazy. But that's one way. Another way I've seen it is you do this first, you do this second. So teachers could add multiple activities in case they do finish early, and they can just keep layering these cards on top of each other. Or this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you could layer it like that too. I've seen that as well. That one's probably not as popular. The teachers really like to just have the day for the kids available to them, but if it works for you and your students, you could probably do that. And then if student 1 finishes teacher station, what happens when he goes to the independent practice? What happens with the color code? Do I see the color code in their work? So let me start with the first question, I think there. So if a student finishes teacher station first, you could have them start the independent practice, and they might, instead of 10 minutes, they might get 12 minutes. So you could add additional minutes on and just let them know, like, hey, when this station is over, you're still working in the independent practice. Like, you're just getting a head start. And then the color code, give me more clarification if I'm not answering your question correctly. I've seen teachers, though, like color code the different bins in their classroom. So they'll have like an independent practice bin that's purple. And all of the resources that the kids need for that station are in that bin, and then they go and get their resources. And again, that's all up to you. That's your standard operating procedure. So every classroom is different on how those are kind of open and ran. And so just kind of think about, how do you want to organize it? Do you want it by color? Do you want the kids to know where to go? Because especially for that 4 C's activity, you want an area for that. A lot of times too, the kids are like, they're getting up and they're moving. during station rotation. A lot of times they're not just sitting there and trying to take in all of the different stations. Like they're getting up and they're moving to the teacher station. They're getting up, they're moving to the independent practice area. So I've seen teachers put their materials in those different stations where those areas are designated for. So that could be another option for you as well. What happens after the 10 minutes? Do I need to change the students in each station on Trello? I typically don't. So this is like the starting station. And then I just tell the kids, all right, teacher station's going to independent practice. The independent practice station's going to digital content. 4Cs. Again, if your students need you to move that, you could have them move it. Another thing that you could do is you could invite them and you could allow them to have edit access and have them move their own little cards as well, if that helps some of your kids. So you could, again, invite them on here. And then once they're on here, I could change their permission. So like, let's see here.
They can move themselves. The issue here is, Stephanie, sorry for the interruption, is that we are going virtual during August. So that's why that question, if the teacher has to move the students around, but now you clarify this with the permissions that the students are finished with this, so they can move their cards around.
Yeah, so you could do that. You could move them, or you could just tell them, just go to the next station. This is our starting station, and then you keep going, or you could build the cards out to show or have multiple boards. And then like this would be class 1's board. And then I would have make a copy, class 1 station 2 board, class 1 station 3 board, class 1 station 4 board. And then I could show them movement that way. But usually the students move together. So like these students become a group, and then you're creating that small classroom culture for these students. So that could be an option as well, or you could kind of move them differently too. What do stations look like in a fully virtual setting? So right here, this one would be a Google Meet with the teacher. You could put them into breakout rooms. And so they might be working in a breakout room with the teacher. Then they might be working on a breakout room in the independent practice, but their cameras off and microphones off. They could be in the breakout room for the digital content, microphone off, or you could just invite them. They could go do that on their own, come back when it's time for the teacher station and 4Cs. A lot of times during the 4Cs, they're working as a group. So if this was fully virtual, I would have them cameras on, they're talking, they're communicating with their group about those different projects. Again, you could have them, if they have to be on the computer, you could have them on, but camera off, mute, microphone off, or you could just set time. So like this time, from this time to this time, I'm meeting with group 1. From this time to this time, I'm meeting with group 2. This time to this time, and then they can kind of come in and out of the meet room or the Zoom room as they kind of need to. And I think too, you could just like put times. I'll show you another example that kind of has that set up a little bit better. That way you can have times to show them exactly when they need to rotate, but you can create like a schedule on here. So see how I have activities? I can create another one of these and put like schedule. And then I could put group 1 is going to be from 9 a.m. to 9:15. Group 2 is going to be from 9:15 to 9:30. And then they just kind of follow which group they're in and they look at their little time. So that could be another option. And you can move these whole things. So I can move this whole thing over here. So that's the first thing that my kids would see. How do we help them in one activity and then move to the next? Another thing I've seen is, and I don't know if this is something you would want to do, I've heard really great success out of this from some of my teachers, is they threw all of their students into a breakout room. So every single kid was in their own room. And then they could ask the teacher for help. And then the teacher could go to that room to assist the student. And what the teacher did is she like started up at the first breakout room, and then she went to the second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, and she saw all of her students. And then as she needed help or got called for help, she moved to that room. So if you needed to maybe remind a kid like, hey, just a reminder, we're moving on to the next station, you could. You could also, you should be able to see me adding these in real time, these cards on your board. And so if I'm adding like, maybe I go like this, and then you could see that that moved, or you could tell the kids, hey, set a timer. There's so many times where I'm like, hey, just set a timer for this amount of time and then come back in after that's done. So that might help too. Okay. I love your questions. Keep throwing them in the chat as they come up. How are we feeling with station rotation? Are we ready to go on to the must do, can do, or do you want to talk more about station rotation? Let me know in the chat. Yeah, in a virtual setting, you can include links. So on this card, I would just in the description write maybe the Zoom room. So I would put Zoom and then I can link the room right there for my students and then they could click. Again, we have that Loom area where you can quickly create a video for your students going over what they need to do as well. So that can provide them great insight on what the activities are that they're supposed to be doing. I could also go in and create it like a Screencastify video if you're more comfortable with that and add that in as well. So
I think that the Loom option is easier to go because it's already embedded there.
Yeah, and right here you can show your screen and camera. So you've got all of your same options. So I can do my screen and my camera and I can go to this tab and it's going to pick it up. So I can, again, show all of just my screen with no camera. I can do just me. I can do my screen and that camera, and then it will be able to pick up, like if I'm showing a choice board, I can go over that choice board while I'm doing that.
And and that is something that we also need to do. Sometimes the kids need the teacher to be telling them what to do and to be able to see them and to rewind and go visit that video every time they need. It's important for them to.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so no more questions, please.
All right, and so then there's the second type of model. Again, there's so many different models with blended learning, but this is a great one that a lot of my teachers are at. So they started off with station rotation, and now that they're so comfortable with like losing some of that control of their students and having them doing different activities, because it is a lot of you have to give up a lot of control. It was hard for me. It was hard for some of my teachers to do when I was teaching, and so the next one is a little bit more of if you're like ready for a challenge. So this one's the must do may do list. And all it is again, I'm going to throw some links in the chat. I'll share the slides at the end that have them all. But this is the Google slide version. It's just 2 columns and it's just a must do and then a may do, and that's it. And so then the students have to do the must do. Those are like what's important, what needs done, it's urgent. The may do is if you have time, do it. It's important, but it's not urgent. Oh, sorry, I'll give you access. Thank you for letting me know about that. All right, you should be all set. So again, must do, it's important and it's urgent. The kids have to get it done. The may do, it's important, but it's okay if they don't get it done if they're focused on their must do list. So I've seen teachers just write out different assignments, hyperlink them on here with like bullet points. So if I go up here and I create like a text box, and then I am able to add like different bullet points onto this list and I can create my assignments that way. So that is an option. But in Trello, I have a couple different examples of this one. So right here, this one is a math example. So let me go ahead and copy this over into the chat. And it's kind of crazy again. So right here's the board. You can see the must do activities, the can do activities. It says if they're working in a partner, it talks about all these different things. And again, as a teacher, I can drag these different boards around as I need to. Over here, I can do a coming up. And so we did this like mock classroom with our teachers, and they had CPR at 10. So they had their must do list from 9 to 10 that they were able to get all of this done within that hour. And then they knew when their lunch was, they knew what time this was, and everything else was all listed out for them. And again, I can move these wherever I might need them to be. So that way my students can like focus and go, okay, what is the agenda for the day? Over here are just like different cards, must do later. So if I ever just needed this, I could pull them and move them over. And I have all of these different cards ready to go. I've got my Google Classroom codes if I needed them. And then these are just some may do activities that I could use. So it's kind of like right here's where I want the students to see. And then I can also work with my other partners in crime, my other teachers, and add like an ELA one if I want to, or a science and social studies board. So that way they can see what's happening as well. So again, kind of the same, but you're not having your students in groups because they're working at their own pace. So a lot of my teachers love this type of blended learning because again, the kids are moving at their own pace. And the teachers are checking in with students as they need to. They're calling them up. Some of my teachers use Classroom Q. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but Classroom Q is a really cool website. It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have this, but when you're at the BMV, which is like our driving exam area, you always have to like pick a number. So you grab one of those paper numbers and then you wait for your number to be called. Well, same thing with Classroom Q. And so this is the teacher side. I can start a queue. And if you go into Classroom Q, so if I go into, let's go into this account. Right here, and I don't want to log in. And I click student. And feel free, if you want to try it out as a student, feel free. You just type your name and you're at Classroom Q and then students. And then I grab this code. And again, I would project this on the board or I'd put this code on my Trello board. So that way my students know, like I would probably do like a needs help type of thing. And then I can put the classroom and then I can put the code right there for my kids. And then they just type in that code. And then when they need help, they click this button. And then it tells me that they are first in line. So my students know how many students are ahead of them. On my screen, there I am. So see, I'm the student here. I can call up which students I need to see. And again, if you want to play, feel free to go to classroomq.com, go to the student, and then you can type in my code and I can show you multiple students. And then once I'm done, I just hit end session and it's over for the day. Where it says show comments. So let me go ahead and I no longer need help. As a teacher, you can cross them off or they can hit cancel. So either way, they can get that. And then like right here, a lot of kids are like restroom. Well, they don't need feedback or anything like that. And so if I see that on my board and they're like fifth in line, I can just say, hey, you can go to the restroom. And then I can keep teaching or working with different students. So again, there it is. I can see what they need help with. They could put question 1, question 2, finding common denominators, whatever they're working on, they can put that in their comments. And then maybe, let's say they don't need help. They figured it out. They problem solved on their own. They just hit cancel. And then it comes off of your list. And then you're able to help whoever else needs help. So there you go. You can see it went off. You can turn off the sound if you don't want it to play sound, but I like the sound. So I know, okay, I need help. So there we go. We got Betsy. I have a question about the project. And then if Stephanie comes in now, I'm now second. So there you go. You can see that. And then I would help Betsy first, and then I would help Stephanie. Okay. So this tool could be your way of helping organize your Trello board. And again, your students are working in order. So you might have one student at this activity, and they might be doing it for maybe 5-10 minutes. They move on. Another student might be on this activity for 30 minutes. And so then they move on as well. So you can kind of see that as well. And it kind of helps because then if this student's working on this for 30 minutes, you can kind of talk to them and go, hey, what's going on? Like, do you need help? How are you doing? All that kind of stuff. And you can check in with your students. to give them that independent and personalized feedback for them.
Stephanie, just a question. I could see that in every activity, there's a menu that appears to your right, and there is a space that says time. So can you time the activities as well?
Yeah, so this is a game. This stacks. The kids could play for 30 minutes if I didn't put a time. And so I tell them, set a timer for 10 minutes, and that's all you get. And then, so some of them, it is timed. Other ones, you work at your own pace, and then you get help as needed. I have some teachers, let me go over here to my blog real quick, that need like a tracking. They're like, how do I manage where every single kid is at? Because it is a lot. And so if you're trying to track everything where everybody's at, it can become a lot of work, and you're just like, I don't know how to track this. I don't know how to organize it. So I have a Google Sheet as well. Let me see if I can find it. Right here. And let me go ahead and make a copy, and I'll share this in the chat with you guys. And so right here with this board, and I'm going to add this link to the speaker notes. Actually, I'll make like a slide for it for you guys. So don't forget. Okay, so this right here, I can type in all of my students' names in here. I have all of the activities up here. These are check-ins. Okay, so let's look at our Trello board real quick. On my Trello board, I've got Khan Academy, Google Classroom, and I want them to use like partner match. So I've got those 3 activities. I can type them right here on this board as well. And then I can type their names in here. My students have a drop down to let me know where they're at. And so I can go over here and I can say, why did you do this first activity? Like, you're not done with 1A or whatever, if I needed to. And I can have that conversation, or I can go, okay, this student is finishing really quick. Black line means they need to talk to a teacher. So I can check those 3 assignments to make sure that they're good for the next couple activities. And then they can keep working. And then I can go, oh, this student right here hasn't even started. So then I can talk to that student. Hey, what's going on? Do you need help? Do you understand what's going on with all of this different learning? And just have that conversation with them. And then just like Classroom Q, if they need help, they can use this little status bar, and I'm able to get them help if I need to. So this is just another idea that you could do if you needed to track and figure out where are your kids at and what's going on. And again, it's a lot of setup because you have to type in all your kids first, but then you can reuse this every single week or every single day. A lot of my teachers use this grid by week. And then there was a question in the chat. What does your MustDo, CanDo, and Trello look like virtually? Can you place links with all the resources in Google Classroom so they can move between the different assignment types? A couple different things. I've seen teachers take a screenshot of this board. I've seen teachers link it. So when I prefer when they link it, because then the kids can click the cards and they can go directly to what they're supposed to do in the different cards and activities. But again, I've seen teachers also take a screenshot of their Trello board and then match their Google Classroom to match that Trello board. So that could be up to you on how you want to organize that as well. And then right here, this one is an ELA example. And so again, I love this one because she put the learning objectives over here. So the students have I can statements. I can determine the gist or the main idea of the text. I can form verbs in the future tense. So they know what their focus is for the day or the Trello. Sometimes this is a week, like a weekly Trello board. And then here you go. You can see right here, quotes around the room, 15 minutes of independent reading. Again, it's timed right there. And then you can see right here, her cards. independent work, record your scores, independent work, digital work. So she labels her cards to go along with what the activity is for that student. So they know if it's partner work or if it's not partner work, because it's clearly labeled to what they're supposed to do. Partner small group work. And again, these are must do. And she does this by week. So that other board, this one was by a day. And then this one over here is more of a week look. And then over here is the can do activities. And then the teachers meeting whole group, small group with students, and then week 2 starts. So sometimes my teachers will build these out and then they can take these weeks and move them around. And so that's a great question. How do you wrap everything up and move on if everyone is in a different place? So what most of my teachers do is on the must do work, a lot of times kids do complete that. The may do, they don't, or the can do, they usually don't. And so that's when you decide to move on. So if majority of your class is still on the must do, I would keep going. Sometimes you have pacing guides and all that kind of stuff. So then you need to look at, okay, what is those power standards? Are there any activities I can move to a can do? I've had teachers that conference individually with students and just say, okay, let's look at your must do. I want you to do these 3 things. I'm going to cross this one off. Okay. And so that could be another option. If you have those students that might need that like scaffold for you to say, okay, cross this activity off. It just kind of depends on the students in the class. So it's hard to answer that as a whole just because every class and every student is different. All right. Any other questions? Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, and feel free if you want to, I'll put my Twitter in the chat again. That's the best way to get a hold of me. So if you have more like one-on-one, like you're like, I'm really struggling with this kid, we can talk more into detail about it because there's not a pretty answer. Every kid is different. Different kids need different things. If kids aren't working and they're just they're playing a game or they're doing something like that, they email their parents. I don't email the parents. They email the parents and they say, hello, mom and dad, I didn't finish my must do activities. These are the must do activities I did not do. I promise I'm going to do better by this date. And then they CC me, their parents, and then I sometimes get to see the emails back and forth because they forget to not send them back to me. So that puts ownership on the kids and it has that conversation with their parents.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Stephanie, really, especially now we have high school students that they have to be more accountable of their own actions. I see kids writing it down. So I think 9th graders is ready.
Yeah, and sometimes, let me see if I can find it. One of my teachers, she teaches 5th grade. So sometimes you need to scaffold a little bit more to help those students with what they're missing. Sometimes high schoolers can kind of figure it out. Let's see here, missing work. And then as I'm searching for this, I can answer that other question. This lesson plan, can it be downloaded as a text to put it in Atlas, or I would just link it. So right here where it says invite, you can just link it. And then you can decide you want it public, workspace, organizational, or public. So these are your sharing settings.
They choose that we have a platform called Atlas for yeah, you already know it. So can we link Trello to Atlas? Let's say that this teacher is writing his lesson plan in Trello, and then he would like to place that link.
I think you could. I've never used it directly, so I don't know for sure. But I'm sure you could because it has a link.
Yeah,
I would think so.
My question to Shayla and Stephanie is because I don't want teachers to do double work. So if this saves time for them to plan their class lesson plan,
yeah,
then they don't have to redo it again.
Yeah. So I would think that.
We will find out.
Yeah. So right here, this is what my 5th grade teacher does for like missing assignments is she goes in and she highlights it. So if it's missing and she doesn't have it, she goes in and she highlights what the kids are missing. And then she conferences with them, and sometimes they write an email to their parents, but they definitely come up with an action plan on how they're going to get this done. Maybe it is they're going to come in during their lunch for 10 minutes every single day that week and eat with the teacher, but work and then go outside for recess. Maybe it is they are going to partner up with the special education teacher and work with them during their E&I time or something, like a time that's freed up in their day. Maybe the teacher says, okay, you've been working really hard. You don't need to do this activity. Okay, you don't need to do it. You've got it. If you can do these activities and show me that you know it, I'm going to cross off this, but you have to be able to show me that you know it. So there is that accountability piece, and you do have to have those high expectations with kids. So don't think that there aren't high expectations in this model. It's just, it looks a lot different than a traditional classroom. And then also, let me see here. This document, one of my teachers just wanted me to make this for her. So I quickly made it today. And I think it's a great idea to, again, help with that organizational piece. So she is going to type in all of her students' names right here in this column. She's going to write what the assignment is, what the date, and then she's just going to check it off if they're done. So this is, again, it's, you print it off. You cut it right in half. You can do your different classes in different colors if you wanted to. And then you're able to say, oh, this student doesn't have it done. I need to pull them up in a small group. Okay, this assignment, you can have the next assignment. Look at your list. Okay, these are the students I need to meet with today. These are the students I need to meet with today. And so that could also help you as you're trying to navigate these different things as well. All right. And then we have about 9 more minutes. So with those 9 more minutes, what I want you to do is I want you to begin to create. So I am going to, let me see here. I'll share those links too that I just shared, and I'll put them in the slide deck for you. But here are the 2 examples, and then we're going to create. So you've got 9 minutes. Begin to create. And then take a screenshot of your Trello and add it to this board. So just add like another slide, take a screenshot of it. Feel free to add the link down here, but we want to see your creations. What are you thinking about? How are you thinking about organizing in this classroom? And again, you have about 9 minutes to create. Okay, so I'm going to throw this link into the chat for you. And this one is to share what you're creating and what you're thinking with Trello. And then I am going to share those slides while you guys are working. Feel free to ask questions. This would be a great time for that. But let's just kind of see what are you thinking right now? What's going on? Try to organize what you're thinking and what you're going to do with this knowledge.
Yeah, Stephanie, when you're creating, you can choose different types of boards, right?
Yeah, so during this 9 minutes, feel free to throw questions in the chat, but I'm actually going to create a Trello. Okay, so you can watch me if you're still like, I don't even understand Trello, but if you've got Trello and you're like, I'm ready to create, I've got an idea of how I want to organize my classroom, you go and you begin to create that. Okay, so right now I'm on Trello. And what I'm going to do is I've got my workspaces already created, and I like to use the workspaces because they just kind of keep them organized. If you go into templates, there are some templates for education that you might be able to like customize and use. So there is like a weekly planning if you start to really love Trello. So just know that all of those different templates are available for you. And then right here with the boards, you can see all of my different boards that I have ever created. Where the plus sign is I'm going to create a board. Okay, so up here, I'm going to create a board. You can pick your colors. So just like we were talking about earlier, you can do like a custom, like fun one, or you can just kind of keep it simple. I'm going to do mountains this time. I'm going to change this to the blended learning board. And then I want to make it public. Oh, I need to make a title. Let me know in the chat, do you want to see station rotation or do you want to see the MustDo may do boards? What do you guys prefer to see? MustDo may do. Okay, that's the one I'm going with. Station rotate. Sorry, you were too late. I've got my board. MustDo may do. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and title this MustDo. May do. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I add a card and I can say they have to watch this Edpuzzle video. And Edpuzzle videos are usually timed because they're a video. So I don't really need to write that. So I'm going to hit add card. And then I want my students to read a Miss Ella article and annotate it. This, I want them to spend at least 15 minutes on it. And then I can add another card and I can go in and just keep on adding all these different cards to my board. Another must do is they must meet with the teacher. And when they meet with the teacher, what I want them to do is I want them to work on, let me exit out of some of these tabs. We're going to talk about this missing assignment list. So I'm going to link it right there and see how the kids can just click it and it opens up. And then I want my students to also work on their problem set, which is just like a worksheet. And then I want them to work with a partner on fraction 4. Okay, I can go in again and I'm able to add all of those different cards. I'm going to create a video real quick. Hey everyone, today for the must-do list, you're going to watch the Edpuzzle video that is already in your Edpuzzle. So you're going to go to the Edpuzzle and you're going to go down and look for the lesson number 2 video. Then I want you to read the Newsella article. This is assigned in Google Classroom. So you're going to go to your Google Classroom, look for today's assignment that says read Newsella article. And I only want you to spend 15 minutes on this. So I want you to set a timer. And then once that timer is up, I want you to stop working on that activity. Then I want you to meet with the teacher. So I want you to come conference with me once you finish that Edpuzzle video. If there's a line, I want you to use the Classroom Q application. So that way you can get in line, but you can keep working on other activities. What we're going to do is we're going to be looking over your work and we're going to talk about what is done and what is not done. So that way we know what we need to do. Bring any questions during this time as well. Then you're going to work on your problem set and you're going to complete that fraction war with a partner. Your partner must be at the same place as you. So if your partner is still at the Edpuzzle video, you cannot work with that student. And then I can add that video right into my Trello so my students know exactly what to do. And then I can create my may-do list, okay? And so my may-do list, they might work on creating a video. This is where I like to do choice boards. They might want to do like, am I ready? And I can add all of those different things of what I need to do on here. Okay. And then I can invite my students. It's already public. And then I can send this out. And then my students can join and they can start to watch my video. And I might move my video up first because I want them to do that first. And again, it is up to you. Maybe the students can work on any of these activities in any order. Maybe the students have to go in order. So kind of think about your setup for your classroom. What do you want to do? How do you want to organize it? Because all that really does matter. And so just kind of think about it. Do they have to go in order? Do they not? And communicate that with your students, those expectations. And then again, if I wanted to, I can edit those labels and I can name them if I need to. And then I can make that green or whatever color I want to do for those different labels. And I can name them up here. So if I wanted to say partner, see how that comes up as partner. And then my students know, hey, blue means I can work with a partner. Okay. Oh, I'm loving this one, the staff board. Yeah, so as you guys think, throw them in here because I think people really like to see examples of how other teachers are using it. Because one way I might organize it could be a different way, but then I'm like, oh, that really does make sense. Why did I not think about it? And so just feel free, make it public, share that link, and then throw it on this slide deck. And you don't have to finish it today. But again, it just helps other teachers go, oh, I love how she used that video idea. I didn't think about that. Or whatever you're kind of thinking. Any other questions? And then if you do want more, feel free to follow me. I send out a lot of content and resources to this bit.ly group. So if you are interested and you want more resources, I try to do as much as I can free, but sometimes I do have to charge if it does take a lot of my time and energy. So I'm going to share those slide decks and I'm going to share that Google group with you guys in the chat. So feel free to join. And then right here, this is another video. Feel free to watch it. Let me see if I can skip the commercials. There we go. It's called a this or that board. And so the students, it's organized again. This is just another model of blended learning, but they have to do this row first and then this row, or they have a choice. So they can do this or that. Then they have to do this row, this or that. This row, this or that, and they can have a choice in their learning. So this was a fun session that we did. If you are interested in kind of maybe doing that, it's just another way to organize your classroom and start to differentiate for your students. Okay, thank you guys so much for today. I really did enjoy the time with you guys and helping you learn Trello.
Thank you very much, Stephanie, for your time. As I told you at the beginning, I don't know if somebody of you guys would like to say a very quick thank you to Stephanie. We have 2 minutes.